morning, everyone, again. Thank you for coming to the EVC inaugural symposium. Our next speaker is now in the building. The traffic has cleared, and she's here safe, and we're glad. It's now my utmost pleasure and a true honor to introduce our first keynote speaker of the day, Justine Johnson. In the unlikely scenario that you don't know her, I will talk briefly about her past and present forward-looking work, briefly. Her career path is beyond extraordinary, as you will see, as you will learn soon. Justine Johnson is an accomplished economic development and mobility executive with more than 10 years of experience in external affairs, strategy and government, and community relations. Prior to joining Team Michigan as Chief Mobility Officer, Justine was appointed to the Los Angeles County Aviation Commission to advise the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors on the operations and development of the county's 5 airports. In addition to this role, she served as the Director of Member Engagement at the California Mobility Center, CMC, which is a nonprofit that promotes commercial interactions with new mobility companies and industry-leading entities to deploy new products, programs, and services in clean mobility in the state of California and beyond. Previously, Justine served as the head of mobility engagement for SoCal Southwest region at Ford Motor Company. This promotion was a result of her successful tenure as Ford's mobility strategist. During her time in New York City, she served as Vice President of Government and Community Relations for New York City Economic Development Corporation, managing government and community relations for Mayor de Blasio innovative commuter ferry system. However, her impact on transportation initiatives within New York City was initially established during her time with the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission, where she worked on the Borough Taxi Project, also known as the Green Taxi Program, which created a new for-hire vehicle and driver classification. While she spent many years in New York City, Justine is a Los Angeles, California native and believes in giving back to her community through her service, a cause that I deeply care. She was the board co-chair of Black Space Urbanist Collective, an organization that challenges urban designers, planners, artists, and architects to build spaces that honor the culture and cultivate the talent of Black people. She also served as the board chair of Urban Movement Labs, an organization that focuses on bringing new mobility innovation to Los Angeles by working at the intersection of government, technology, innovation, and community. Most notably, she served as the adjunct instructor at USC Sol Price School of Public Policy. On her professional training and background, Justine holds 2 Masters of Arts degrees from the University of Southern California in Urban Planning and Public Administration. She also holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree from Hampton University in Political Science and Government. Today, we have the privilege of her joining us to share her perspective on how Michigan is not just participating in the future of mobility, we're helping lead the nation in that effort and define it. Please join me in giving Justine Johnson a warm welcome to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Justine Johnson. Pleasure to be here with each of you all. I'm very excited, and I wish I had an eVTOL today, an electric vertical takeoff and landing, to get me between the city of Detroit and the city of Ann Arbor, but I am here and happy to be in the building. And so I just want to say a huge thank you to every person who put this event together. This is such an important dialogue and conversation. So many thanks to the faculty, to the team of students and other support who have been here to make this event a special day today. So thank you all so much. So I'm going to jump right into things and we'll continue to talk about some of the great work that we are doing within the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification. I love today's theme. I think it is so appropriately themed, truly making Michigan the e-motor capital. And it's something that I really truly lean into as we think about all forms of mobility. How will we propel the future forward? Thinking about clean energy and how will Michigan continue to be a part of the leadership role when we talk about mobility innovation. So I'm going to jump into a few slides on my end to talk a little bit about some of the work of the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification. And one of the things I always like to remind folks is that, we are standing right now at such an important intersection of mobility, innovation, and transformation. We find ourselves truly in an unprecedented era of change. And this is really calling for us to think about how people, how goods and information will move, and also making sure that the infrastructure that we have in place will really support dynamic ways of how people will move. And again, mobility is just rapidly changing. Every day there is some new technology that's forming. And so we're really excited to be a part of this journey. First, I always like to ground our conversation with a definition. And when we talk about mobility, I think we probably get an array of different definitions and responses as what mobility actually means. And for us within the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification, we really focus on mobility as really anything that utilizes clean energy to move people, goods, and information across land, water, and air. So it is a very expansive definition, and it really encompasses all of the different ways in which we are envisioning and focusing on moving Michiganders forward. Next, I'm going to just jump into how our office was created. And so as you'll see here, there was an executive directive that was issued by Governor Whitmer, creating the first ever Office of Future Mobility and Electrification. And that's something is so unique to the state of Michigan, but also to the United States. Some of the important parts of the work that we do really put the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification as this one-stop shop for all things related to the future of mobility. And so, as you'll see, we work very closely with entities like the Department of Transportation, Michigan Economic Development Corporation, Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, and also Labor and Economic Opportunity. And it's really important that we talk about the infrastructure. I hear lots of thunder right now. We also talk about making sure we're preparing the economy for all of the opportunities within mobility innovation. We think about sustainability and how we'll continue to position ourselves really around getting to that goal of carbon neutrality by 2050. We know that the transportation sector is a huge part of that dialogue and conversation, and really labor and economic opportunity around workforce, really making sure that our workforce is prepared for the jobs of the future, that they're able to skill and retool and make those transitions, especially for those who are in places of work right now. So some of the things that I like to highlight and some of the opportunities, and I'm going to take us through all dimensions of mobility, land, water, and air, so bear with me. In November of 2023, something we did that I think is a round of applause for everyone in Michigan, that we really demonstrated how we can make the impossible possible. And so we do have, yes, please give yourselves a round of applause. We do have the first wireless charging roadway in the United States. And this is something that we have had so many other states ask us, how did you all do this? How did you make this possible? And this is really just a testament of our collaboration at the state level, at the local level, and working with private entities who are looking to deploy new technologies and solutions into the built environment. So this wireless charging roadway is located in Corktown, Detroit. And really this is such a good opportunity for us to learn more about how this infrastructure can be deployed to other locations around the state, but also when we think about public transit as well, how can we think about opportunities for charging, especially where vehicles dwell at bus stops. So this new infrastructure is truly redefining public streets as a shared energy platform. We also do have sites like the Detroit Smart Parking Lab for those of you all who may have had a chance to visit it or maybe not. Another really important asset and resource to really understand smart parking technologies. Many times we think of a parking lot as just a place where we could park our vehicles, but imagine what the parking lot of the future could look like in terms of understanding air quality monitoring at parking lots. Imagine what that looks like when we talk about autonomous vehicle operations. Imagine what that looks like when we talk about charging. And so that's something we're really proud of our work with our partners at the Detroit Smart Parking Lab to enable different opportunities for companies to test and deploy technologies and solutions around smart parking. Also, I just want to add, and before I get to this, maybe I'll go back one. Another important thing, and don't have a picture of it here, but we do have an autonomous shuttle called the Connect, and that is about a 10-mile shuttle that is operating between the East Riverfront communities in the city of Detroit, and that is another really important opportunity for users to experience the technology. So this is a shuttle that is free of service and allows for commuters to hop on. The shuttle is also AV accessible, AV accessible or ADA accessible. So it's something that is really important as we support different communities and their needs. When it comes to charging, we're doing so much great stuff within our state. We do have very aggressive goals around EV charging. And so one of the important things I just want to note here is that we do have, in partnership with the Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, or Sustainability Department, of a partnership called the Lake Michigan EV Circuit. We have about 1,100 drivable miles around Lake Michigan, and we want to make sure that folks who are traveling from other states have a seamless charging experience. We want to make sure that wherever you're leaving from, especially when you think about ecotourism, that there is charging infrastructure along the way. And so as such, the Lake Michigan EV Circuit is another important opportunity to have charging infrastructure installed around every 50 miles around Lake Michigan. And so that's something we're really proud of, and continuing to see the work around getting to zero emissions vehicles, but also supporting work around ecotourism. Especially when we talk about the outdoor recreation space, we also continue to think about innovation in a very dynamic way. And so as such, we have companies like Electric Outdoors and Polaris that's providing opportunities for vehicles to charge, specifically off-road vehicles, and also utilizing grid independent solutions like solar canopies that are literally mobile stations that allow for the charging infrastructure to be located along various locations within our state parks. So really proud of that. You'll see an image here of Cavenue, which is our connected and autonomous vehicle lane. And our partnership there is with a company called Cavenue, and along I-94, you'll probably see some of the infrastructure right now, but really having a delineated roadway for AV testing, really understanding how autonomous vehicles operate in the built environment. And we have the first 3 miles of the pilot in place right now, and we'll continue to monitor and figure out additional ways to expand this service over time. So really proud of some of this work. So now I want to transition to a few programs that we have. So we have a program called the Michigan Mobility Funding Platform, and that is traditionally the way in which we do provide grant funding for companies who are looking to test and deploy solutions. One of the things we quickly realized very early is that how do we provide funding for those who are trying to make it in Michigan, literally the hard tech of the future. And so as such, we created a mobility prototype program, and that is in partnership with Centropolis Accelerator. And what we do here is really focus on making sure that we're providing an opportunity for companies who are looking to build the next form factor of the future here, or the next component that will support the next form factor. And it's really an amazing opportunity for those who are specifically makers. So we're really proud of this program. Last fall, we announced that there were 17 companies who received funding. A little bit over $800,000 was issued to companies who were looking to make the next hard tech of the future. And so I encourage folks, please do take a look at our website and look up the prototype grant program if you know anyone who is a maker and looking for funding specifically to design and engineer and prototype and test the next hard tech of the future. So let's elevate this conversation to the air, and this is kind of the preferred mode that I would have loved to have today, but we'll work with what I have. One, wanted to focus on a program that we launched last year called the Advanced Aerial Mobility Activation Fund. And really a lot of this work, it has been in partnership with the Michigan Department of Transportation's Aeronautics Department, really to provide grant funding for companies who are looking to test and deploy not only pilots and programs, but infrastructure that will be needed to charge the aircraft of the future. And I'll use the over-encompassing term of advanced aviation. That could be anything from drones to eVTOL, electric vertical takeoff and landing, STOL, short takeoff and landing, and also, again, fixed wing and traditional aircraft. So that's something we're really excited about. We issued a little over $6 million last year to a number of different companies. You'll see them on this slide here. Beta Technologies is building out Michigan's and specifically Midwest eVTOL charging network. So we're really excited about our work with Beta. And then you'll see a number of different use cases on this slide, really focusing on one, there's the ship to shore delivery. So understanding that port calls can be a bit challenging, especially when ships are waiting to berth. If there are critical materials that need to move back and forth between a port and a ship, utilizing drones to actually help with the movement of some of those goods. Same thing for Detroit, and we're looking at the bottom of the slide. I'll have another image in a bit, really talking about the Advanced Aerial Innovation Region, which is about a 3-mile radius around Michigan Central. Another great opportunity for us, especially seeing our proximity to an international border. And then lastly, you'll see a number of different companies who are part of a program focusing on rural drone operations and healthcare and marine applications. And this is in partnership with Traverse Connect, Blue Flight, and really thinking about how marine testing can be used utilizing drones and understanding those opportunities and moving critical medical supplies in rural settings, specifically in partnership with Munson Health. Okay, I also mentioned again, this is the Advanced Aerial Region around Michigan Central, 3-mile radius, and it's really providing that infrastructure for companies who are looking to deploy drone technology. We do have a small vertiport on top of the building at New Lab, and so that is essentially where a lot of the launches for a lot of these drones happen. It's also really cool. I get to see some of the drones that are being operated from other states that are the operators in another state, but the drone is doing inspections, looking at building inspections, they're doing rail inspections, they're doing a variety of tasks. So it's really fun to see these drones in motion. Another program that I'd like to just highlight, and this is something that is very new and something our office is working on. So this is a program that will launch in May, a competition specifically that'll happen in May of this year. And this is the first time we've done something like this, which is called an uncrewed triple challenge. As part of the uncrewed triple challenge, this is really focusing on defense innovation and moving a parcel or good across land, water, and air. And so this is another really fun opportunity when we talk about autonomy and how we can learn a lot about autonomous operations and how that can support those who are in the defense space as well. So the competition will happen again the 19th through the 22nd of May, and it will be a competition specifically in areas like Camp Grayling and Alpena, so more to come. So next, we're going to take this conversation to our waters. And we do have, again, an abundance of beautiful waterways throughout our state and around our state. One of the really exciting programs that we had launched was the Fresh Coast Maritime Challenge. What you're seeing here on this slide is a DC fast charging station for electric boats. And so really, we have to think about opportunities to decarbonize our maritime sector as well. And another important way to do that is making sure that we have the charging infrastructure in place around many marinas around the state and really allowing for those to charge their boats that way. You'll also see LilyPad, which is a solar powered electric boat. I had the pleasure of driving one. It was really easy. And one of the things it's focusing on is really allowing for those to rent these types of boats to really experience the waterways in a very different way. It's quiet, there's no fumes, you're able to enjoy the company of others, and really just take in the serene environment. So really proud of a lot of work that's happening, specifically with the charging infrastructure that is being deployed along the shorelines of Elk Rapids, Traverse City, Charlevoix, and Harbor Springs. Okay, and I talked a lot about technology. I talked a lot about all of the different shiny objects, from roads to charging infrastructure, but I always like to make sure that we continue to have a conversation around innovation that is inclusive of people. We all here will interact with technology, and we currently do that today, but as we think about the future of movement, we can't miss people in this process. And so one of the exciting things that we launched, or new programs that we launched, is a new fellowship program called the Michigan Mobility Fellows Program, which is a 15-month program that attracts talent from all over the country to focus on a variety of opportunities, specifically working within a transportation organization or an economic development organization, focusing on transportation and mobility planning, and then also working with our entrepreneurs within Southeast Michigan. So we have a wonderful cohort. This is our first cohort of fellows. These are folks, some of them have graduated from universities within the state of Michigan. Others have come here for this opportunity. And we really see this as being this space to retain our talent and providing them with meaningful experiences and letting them know that they are really the leaders in the next generation to take the future of mobility forward. So some exciting things for 2025. I talked about some of the programs and initiatives we launched in 2024 and some of the things to come ahead for 2025. Our office is definitely shifting into high gear. And we have talked about a number of different programs and services, but one of the things we really spent some time thinking about is how can we start to connect innovators to actual problems. I have regularly folks who reach out to me to share a number of the solutions that they're working on, and they're fantastic. And sometimes I have to sit back and say, who could I help with this solution? Who needs this? And so we are going to be standing up something very soon. So this is, you all are getting a little bit of a preview of some of the work that's to come over the following months. And this is statewide mobility challenges. So essentially we are working very closely with a number of different state departments to understand what are some of their big pressing mobility needs, and actually providing an opportunity to connect those needs to innovation. So some of the latest and cutting edge technologies that are being deployed. Really by identifying these challenges, we are really hoping to continue to focus on partnering with the private sector and providing opportunities to present and to demonstrate ways in which they can solve a number of these challenges. So this will be such a powerful tool, which really can be a magnet to attract a number of high growth companies who are looking for potentially their customers being government, or as well as continuing to think about opportunities to grow within the state of Michigan. We also see this being an opportunity for a number of state departments who will be partnering with us, as this supports with government efficiency, the introduction of innovation, and as well as economic development, broadly speaking. So next, another program that we'll be launching will be focusing on innovation at the hyper-local level. And this is a concept that we're calling innovation districts. And this is really establishing a network that really maximizes the resources that are deployed throughout the region, throughout the state. Really same concept, really thinking about what are some of the local and regional issues that different municipalities and regions are trying to tackle, encouraging them to collaborate and to work together, and to really think about ways in which they can connect the early stage company to a potential customer. So that could be some of the industry stakeholders that are in their backyard, that could potentially be local government. But the goal here is to really focus on strategic growth for companies and commercialization, really closing that gap between pilots to actually finding your customers. So really providing that opportunity. Really, the goal here is that we position ourselves to introduce more mobility technologies at the hyper-local and regional levels. It's about coalition building, so continuing to lift up a lot of the work that different localities are focusing on, and really providing centralized resources to support a number of those goals that the regions are hoping to accomplish. Next, when it comes to some of the programs around workforce, something that we stood up pretty quickly is a program called Changing Lanes, really seeing a number of different auto workers who were being impacted by layoffs and really seeking opportunities to connect auto workers to the mobility ecosystem. And so really this is a new program that was started. We have our first cohort that's in training right now. So they are really those, again, who were formerly at different OEMs or suppliers who are looking to transition to entrepreneurship or looking to transition, broadly speaking, to work and support the mobility industry that we have within the state. So really providing those opportunities as well. We've also launched the expansion of the Michigander Scholarship. So this is a really cool pilot that we have in place, and we've provided some funding to do the expansion here to support emerging companies as part of the Michigander Scholars Program. Some of you all may be familiar with this program, which traditionally worked with large OEMs and suppliers. However, emerging and high growth mobility startups were not included. We've now provided an opportunity to include those types of companies as part of the ecosystem for students to connect to mobility entrepreneurs. The scholarship program provides an opportunity of up to $10,000 for college students who are pursuing internships with emerging mobility companies, and then as well as students who complete their internship and accept full-time positions and commit to staying in Michigan for at least 12 months. So really wanting to focus on that retention piece of the conversation. Next, I want to talk about a few of the work that we are doing as it relates to our mobility plan. Our mobility plan is truly our North Star for how we think about mobility within our state. The mobility plan that we have in place was created in 2022 and launched in 2022 with this overarching goal of having a comprehensive statewide mobility focus really on these three core pillars that you see on this slide. The core pillars are really about transitioning and growing our mobility industry and workforce. So making sure that we grow our industry, but also making sure that the jobs of the future are there and available for our workforce. Providing safe, clean, and accessible transportation for all. So making sure that our infrastructure has been future-proofed, so allow that more form factors can support more communities. And then also leading with policy innovation and making sure that we have the most innovative and welcoming policies that allow for the business community to continue to grow and thrive, but also opportunities to locate in the state. I'm pleased to say that since that plan was created, we've achieved over 65% of the goals that have been identified in the plan. And so now it's time for us to take a moment to refresh the plan and find opportunities that are ripe enough for us today and for the future. So to remain truly competitive, we are focusing on our Mobility Plan 2.0. We're currently in this process right now of working on this next iteration of the plan. And this update to the plan will really focus on the clean mobility landscape. So really doing a thorough assessment of where are some of the opportunities when it comes to electrification, when it comes to hydrogen, and when it also comes to non-rare earth minerals that could be utilized for different propulsion systems. Also, it's identifying strategic areas for Michigan to win. We have such a strong manufacturing acumen and as well as a cluster of suppliers that are in our state. So really wanting to make sure that we take full advantage to engage with all of those diverse parties. Also, we're in the process right now of engaging with agency partners and industry leaders to really understand some of the most pressing and compelling needs and really finding opportunities and roles for the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification. Our goal is to make sure that we have a robust, we have a bold, and we have a compelling vision and a plan moving forward that is focusing on our talent, that is focusing on making sure that we're a global leader when it comes to policy and making sure that we deploy and attract the right types of innovation that move our state and our nation forward. So as we continue to work on this plan, I hope that very shortly you will see something pop up probably in your inboxes just to make sure that you know when the plan is ready so you can also take a look at that as well. And then lastly, as we continue on with this summit today, and I know that I'm one of many speakers here, I just want to encourage you all to continue to keep today's theme in mind. Making Michigan the e-motor capital is such an important dialogue and conversation that each of you all should be having as we think about ways to propel our future forward. Let's embrace the theme, and also let us see it as an opportunity and truly a call to action. This is a call that is about innovative leadership. It's a charge that I hope each of you all here today find opportunities to collaborate. I hope that you ask yourself difficult questions and different questions. I ask that each of you all take a moment to say, is the status quo good enough, or can we be bigger? Can we be bolder? Can we be more collaborative? So I charge each of you all to be at the steering wheel when it comes to driving innovation forward. I say that we are not a state that sits in the back seat. We sit in the front seat at all times. And so I charge you to take a role of sitting in the front seat and thinking about what that future of mobility and innovation looks like today. We have an array of people with diverse expertise in this room, from students to policymakers to industry leaders. And I always say, please talk to someone who you do not know. If you're at a table sitting amongst friends, make sure at the lunch break you switch it up and you find a new person. This is really important to continuing to talk about how we can innovate forward, how we can lead as a state, and how we can work together to truly win, and really focus on opportunities to make our state the best state and the most competitive state when it comes to mobility deployments, mobility commercialization, and mobility innovation. So I thank you all today for spending time with me and bearing with me despite my travel delays in getting here. I hope you were able to learn a number of different initiatives that are taking place within the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification. I look forward to working with each of you all as partners, as thought leaders. I also ask you to push me and to make me think outside the box. And so that is my charge for you all today. And I just want to say thank you so much to the U of M team for your work in putting together this amazing conference. So thank you.